We're now a couple weeks into the NHL season in which Sharks have seen their stock rise and fallen compared to our initial thoughts heading into the season.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Western Conference Tuesday here on the Locked On NHL channel. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. If you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be kind of taking a nice little temperature check on some players and where they're kind of at now, as we're a couple weeks into the season and we have some sample sizes, as small as they may be, 7 games into the season. And look at whose stock has risen and why Eklund might be the Sharks' best player. Klim Kostin and Nico Sturm, shaky grounds, and look at what's happened on the blue line. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Just finished up watching the Barracuda game. Barracuda or a wagon, guys. Get on board. Anyway, we're going to be, though, talking about the Sharks. Unfortunately, I'm joking a little bit. Anyway, and watching the kind of yesterday's game, and where one of my biggest takeaways is William Eklund might be the Sharks' best player right now. And yes, this team is a very talent-poor team, but William Eklund was a 7th overall pick in the draft. I spent the last couple of years developing, and you're seeing that breakout season for him. And I called very much all summer. I think this is the season William Eklund breaks out. I think I've predicted him to be the Sharks' leading scorer. I think he's 3rd right now. I did miss one game with an upper body injury that he has been kind of dealing with here, but well on his way to being in the mix. So he is 3rd right now behind Toffoli and Granlund, who both have 7 points. He has 5 points in 6 games. Not a bad start, but you're seeing from Eklund just the all-around game continuing to evolve, and the way he drives play and creates opportunities. And now that, and especially when Celebrini gets back, just increased talent around him, you're going to continue to see that actual production continue to rise and elevate as this team eventually gets better and better. But I think for Eklund, though, is that all-around game that we have seen him just hone in, right? You see his ability to stay stronger on the pucks, create space for himself, especially along the boards, winning those board battles. And when he has the puck, protecting the puck, right? Especially for a guy his size, right? He's, 5'10", 180, 185 pounds. His ability, though, to protect the puck there's the play against Colorado where Nathan MacKinnon's on him. Like, Nathan MacKinnon's like the dog of all dogs when it comes to like getting the puck. Eklund protecting the puck from him. But like, this is we're starting to see that breakout Eklund. And I think especially coming out of the end of last year, once we saw the Lund line put together, we saw Eklund kind of refine his confidence, see the production start to come together, and it's carrying over. And I think once Celebrini gets back, and you can make an argument that Celebrini could be the best player on the Sharks. You can make an argument Mikael Granlund could be the best player on the Sharks. Tyler Toffoli, well, I think Tyler Toffoli is really great. I still think Tyler Toffoli needs someone to kind of funnel him the puck, a guy like Granlund or Eklund or Celebrini. Maybe it's a small window where I think Eklund's going to be the Sharks' best player, because eventually Macklin Celebrini is going to kind of take the proverbial belt from him. But right now, right this moment, I think it's pretty easy to say William Eklund is the Sharks' best player. Even compared in nobody on the defense. I mean, Jake Wallman's pretty good, but he has his issues. Maybe Jack Thompson right now. I'm just kidding on Jack Thompson, but is Jack Thompson the greatest defenseman in Sharks history? Question mark. That's a joke. We'll talk about Jack Thompson a little bit longer. But it's good to see just the way his game is developed, especially as like someone I've watched Eklund very closely the past couple seasons, and you see what kind of, we've talked about this before, but what he's picked up along the way, right? Working in the AHL and getting used to the smaller ice and getting more shifty and getting stronger. Again, he's never going to be 6'4", 230 pounds, just knocking dudes over, but I think he's strong enough, right? And I know some people were complaining about him getting knocked off the puck earlier in the season. Again, he admitted, I'm not 100%. I was dealing with something. The past 2 games coming back from his injury, he just looked like he's been shot out of a cannon. So I think for Eklund, I know it's going to be the break. I call the breakout season, but you have to say stock up way up on Eklund right now, and the way he has started this season. Where I think we're going, like I mentioned yesterday on the show, I think we're going to be getting a Sharks game, which is like an explosion of points. Eklund's been pretty consistent with his points so far this season. With 5 points in 6 games, it's been very much. 1 point, 1.2 points, like a little bit slow. But then over the past couple 5 games, he's really started to kind of come along the past 3 games here. Wouldn't be surprised if we just had like a big 3-point night from him, whether it's a goal and 2 assists or something like that coming up here. Because again, I think the Sharks are right on. They're doing all the good stuff. And I think they're about ready to get rewarded for all the good stuff they do. And I truly believe they're about ready to have like an offensive explosion, because I don't think you can continue to shoot the way the Sharks are shooting right now. And I think Eklund and the way he's playing right now is going to be a huge reason for the Sharks to maybe start to kind of figure things out here right now, and maybe not be the absolute just bottom feeder they are, but potentially be like just a solid bad team, not just the worst team that we've ever seen like we saw last year. So, Eklund's shooting at 5.9%. I want to see him to continue to take shots. He's been really close to having a couple here. Keep taking shots. He's ready to have a big performance here. And I think the night where the Sharks do have their big breakout night, I think Eklund's going to be the center of it. So, really great to see him kind of pick up where he left off last year, and starting to kind of lead the way and be a guy who can carry a line and drive play. And when him and Celebrini get together, I'm really excited to kind of see how that continues to evolve, and what this Sharks team can start to look like with Celebrini continuing to hopefully get back here healthy soon and be the guy that we expect Celebrini to be. So, but yeah, I think right now it's you could talk me into Granlund just because he's done it longer, maybe a little bit better in the defensive zone than Eklund, but got the veteran craftiness. Like, you could definitely talk me into Granlund, but I think we're about ready to see some special stuff from Eklund here really, really soon. And we're just kind of scratching the tip of the scratching the surface. I was trying to do the iceberg thing and scratching the surface at the same time. So anyway, yes, I think Eklund is about ready to really take off here, and especially when Celebrini comes back, I think then we see the monster Eklund season that I've been predicting for him to have. So we'll continue to look at a couple players who I think maybe have seen their stock drop a little bit, and Klim Kostin and Nico Sturm, and what we need to kind of see from them going forward here. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus, but it's guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. And again, right now, Tua is back. I think the Dolphins offense gets going, and I think Tyreek Hill has a massive, massive day. So do with that what you will. You can check out everything over there at FanDuel.com. All right, before we continue, of course, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. If you want to be an everydayer, again, follow me. But when you're done listening to this episode, go check out one of the other great episodes here at the Locked On. You have Locked On Fantasy Hockey. So if you need some help with your fantasy hockey team, you need to scour the waiver wire, make some trades. They've got you covered over there. Or check out one of the other shows here in the Bay Area. Of course, you have Locked On Niners, where there's never not drama with the Niners. You have Locked On Warriors, them getting off to a nice start with a big win to start the season. Locked On A's, Locked On Giants. So plenty of great stuff here at the Locked On Network. We cover, again, your team every day. All right, next two guys, Klim Kostin, and we'll start with Klim Kostin. So Kostin, who started out in the top six, was a healthy scratch the other night, placed on the fourth line. And I think for Kostin, I hope he's not this year's Jacob Petersson, right? If you remember when the Sharks acquired Jacob Petersson a couple years ago from the Dallas Stars, end of the season, came in, was hot, scored a bunch of goals, produced down in the Barracuda, was scoring goals and having points with the San Jose Sharks at the end of the season. Big worry. They put him on waivers, right? Going into last year. And he clears waivers and just doesn't do anything on the Barracuda. Just has a miserable season on the Barracuda, and is now no longer in the org. I don't think he's in the NHL anymore. I just hope Klim Kostin isn't this guy. And I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on the end of the season, especially on a bad team. And for a guy like Jacob Petersson, who is playing way above his weight, kind of playing a big top 6 minutes on a bad Sharks team, he saw some production. Fast forward to last season, right? Sharks acquired Klim Kostin, playing kind of top 6 minutes on a bad team. You're still going to find people who score here and there, and Klim Kostin scored a bunch of goals, right? Enter this season, and Kostin just hasn't been able to score at the same rate that we saw last year. Kostin so far has 0 points in 5 games, and has 3 shots on goal. So I think for Kostin, who again started the season in the top 6, is now kind of in the bottom 6 here. Healthy scratch, kind of one of those guys is probably going to float in and out of healthy scratch. And when the Sharks start to get healthy, with whether it's a guy like Thomas Borlo, or if they start to maybe bring up some guys from the Barracuda, or when Celebrini gets back, Kostin's one of those guys who I think is really going to have to worry about, am I going to be potentially waived and sent down to the AHL here? So I think over the next couple weeks, these next 2 weeks before the Sharks have to make a decision on Celebrini, and hopefully he's back, kind of getting ready to go by then. Kostin needs to one, get some production, because I think that's the best way for him to stay in the lineup, is because we've seen his scoring touch. Like he's got a nice shot. He's a big guy, can get into the dirty areas and score some dirty goals. And he just hasn't been able to do that yet. I know the Sharks have offense struggles to just produce offense to begin with, but you got to take your advantage of your opportunities. And I don't think Kostin's really had that, been able to do that clearly, because he has no points in 5 games. So I think for him, you don't want to be the next Jacob Petersson, where you're have really strong end of the season and then you just kind of disappear. And we talk about, remember Klim Kostin? You don't want to be the next Klim Kostin now, where you, at the end of the season, if the Sharks acquire you in a trade, you look great, and then when teams are focused on you, and it's beginning of the season, everyone's still kind of trying hard, et cetera, you're not able to produce. So I think for Costen, he needs to string together some strong performances here before Celebrity comes back, and they have to start making some decisions, especially if Daniel Gushin plays the way that he has been playing. Like, I would much rather have Daniel Gushin in the lineup because I think he's just better player right now. So than Klim Kostin. Nico Sturm, on the other hand, it's an interesting because he's been here the past couple seasons, and we kind of know exactly what we're getting out of Nico Sturm, but it's pretty clear that the Sharks are starting to phase him out and look at life beyond Nico Sturm, who's a guy who's in the last year of his deal with $2 million a season. Sturm, the past couple seasons, has played about 1440 time on ice for the Sharks. And yes, I know they were hurting for centers because, especially last year, right, with Logan Couture playing 6 games, Hurdle playing, half the season, then getting traded. Granlund beginning the season was kind of out, and Sturm, had his moments where he was injured as well. But this year, Nico Sturm playing on the fourth line he's only playing 10 minutes and 11 seconds. And you look at Ty Dellandrea, who's been playing center, right? Who can play center, played center in the preseason, has played center so far with the Sharks as well. You look at a guy like Luke Kunin, who can play center if you need him to play center. Of course, you have Alex Wennberg. When Macklin Celebrini gets back, Will Smith, who, you can debate about what you want to do with Will Smith, if he should play center or wing. That's for a different discussion. But it's pretty clear, like, Nico Sturm is getting phased out. And we've seen Sturm have a couple opportunities to pot a couple goals here. And kind of the theme so far for the Sharks, other than stop taking penalties, is missed opportunities early in the season. And Nico Sturm has kind of missed some opportunities here. He's still amazing in the faceoff circle, and I think that's why he's going to net the Sharks something of value. And I'm not saying anything like super nice, but like a mid-round pick. Probably like a 4th or 5th round pick at the trade deadline, because teams want players like Nico Sturm who can come in, play on the fourth line, play penalty kill, do well in the face-off circle. But Sturm's place with the Sharks, like he's not going to be long gone, and they were already prepping for that, especially with the amount of ice time that he's getting right now. And yes, right, you have to kind of decide, like, how are you going to split up this ice time? But Barclay Goodrow, Ty Dellandrea, Luke Kunin, like, they all do kind of the same stuff Nico Sturm does. And those guys are all guys that Mike Greer went out to try to get, right? Over the past couple seasons. Like, he's made it a point to go get those guys or re-sign those guys and keep them around, because he thinks that they provide value to the Sharks. And they all do in their respective degrees and stuff. And all these guys are kind of the same, they all have their strengths and weaknesses, but they're all bottom 6 type of players, especially on quality teams. But I just think Nico Sturm, like, we kind of talked about this as a potential thing to happen, but going into the season, but it's pretty clear when your ice time is dropped by 4 minutes compared to the previous season. It's not like Ryan Warsofsky wasn't here last year. He knows exactly what he's getting. But the Sharks are just focusing on other players to eat up some of that ice time. And Nico Sturm's place with the Sharks, probably I don't think he makes it through the season, because I think, again, the Sharks will trade him for an asset to go do something else with. So we're going to look at the defense here, look at Thompson, Benning, and Rutta, and kind of discuss these guys here and what kind of stock with these guys and what to maybe expect as the season goes along. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. If you want to go catch a game at the Tank, go see the Warriors, go check out Niners game, or whatever you need tickets for, you need to check out Game Time. Game Time is a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. So if you're like me, right, I just kind of usually want the cheapest seats I can get, because usually I have my kids and stuff, and like I'm not paying good money to spend half my time dealing with the kids. You can see, of course, the views of your seats before you buy. So if you need to get tickets, you need to check out Game Time. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. And if you want to get in on daily fantasy but not have to play a bajillion people, you need to check out Prize Picks. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. So the great thing about it is, even someone who lives in California like myself, where gambling laws are not the best for people who want to gamble, you can play Prize Picks since it's fantasy. All you have to do is just pick some of your favorite players, like I said, more or less. So if you think maybe this weekend Justin Jefferson goes off, Tyreek Hill goes off, hint, hint, wink, wink, you just pick some of those players, and then you play $5 and you'll get $50 instantly, and you don't even need to win to get the $50. It's guaranteed. So download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, let's talk about the defense. We'll go positive here. We talked about it yesterday, but Jack Thompson, really solid. Just what you want is a guy who's spent the last 2 seasons in the AHL. I know not with the Sharks, as the Sharks acquired him at the trade deadline last year. You've seen the growth in the development coming in, just being solid. And a guy who, coming in the season, I said probably an NHL player, maybe bottom 6 guy. Like Thompson right now, I know it's 1 game, but you have to feel, or I guess 2 games, but you have to really feel excited about where his trajectory is heading. And like playing on the power play, playing in all situations. I want to see Thompson get like heavy, like 20, 22 minutes a night. Like, let's see what he does with it. And I know it's the Ducks and that offense, has its issues and stuff, but you got some big opportunities here with the Kings and Vegas coming up. Like, I really want to see what happens with Thompson getting some more opportunity, and can he become an every night type of player, which I think he deserves a chance to be. Like his ability to just get the puck out of the zone. We talked about yesterday, just creating offense and sustainable offense of getting shots on goal, which this Sharks team needs to continue just to get more shots. The volume of shots is just not there. But with Jack Thompson on the ice, you see the Sharks just out shooting their opponents. Things you like to see. On the flip side, Matt Benning just doesn't look like the same guy coming off this hip injury. And you feel for the guy, but you wonder again when you're gonna have to make some business decisions here soon with Mukhamadullin, who's kind of on his rehab assignment with the Barracuda here. They're going to want to see Mukhamadullin playing heavy minutes in the NHL here sooner rather than later. Whenever Vlasic comes back, we don't know what Vlasic injury is. It still seems very vague, and if and when he comes back. But you're going to have to make some decisions. And Matt Benning, who has a very small cap hit, whether you trade him or if you have to waive him to send him down to the AHL to make room for a guy like Mukhamadullin, it's a decision you're going to have to make. And I don't think you can warrant, based on Matt Benning's play so far this season, that he's been one of the top 6 defensemen or deserves to be a top 6 defenseman for the Sharks right now. Maybe if you want a healthy scratch him, but again, you're going to have to make some decisions right now when you bring back a guy like Mukhamadullin or bring up a guy like Mukhamadullin. And, you have Jake Wallman, you have Mukhamadullin, you have Cody Ceci, you went out and traded for. Mario Ferraro is not going anywhere. Henry Thrun, again, you want a younger guy just getting as much ice time as he can. I worry if Matt Benning's career. I mean, maybe he's can be, kind of continue to shake off the rust. And he just needs to play some more games here, and maybe that's what he needs to do in the AHL right now is continue to kind of get back into form, because he just doesn't look like the same guy right now. And Jan Rutta looks like a guy who might be getting a little bit closer to the end as well. Especially with the amount of penalties he's been taking. I don't want to say he's losing a step, but and again, I would rather just ride with a guy like Jack Thompson or Shakir Mukhamadullin, who, right? Do you want the boat or do you want the mystery box? And right now I'm leaning towards the mystery box because we don't know any idea what those are. And this boat in Benning and Rutta, it's got some leaks in it. So I think for both those guys, like the Sharks are going to have some tough decisions. I don't foresee them. I would assume, at least in my head, right, when Mukhamadullin comes back, you have Wallman, you have Ferraro, you have Cody Ceci, you have Henry Thrun, you have Jack Thompson, you have Mukhamadullin as your 6th set play. Jan Rutta is your 7th defenseman, and then you're probably going to have to try to waive Matt Benning and send him down. And just as a reminder, like his contract is not very big. I'm pulling it up right now on Puckpedia. So his contract is $1.25 million. So I think you have a cap hit of like 100,000. Like it's not a big deal. So to send him down, or if a team wants to claim him, have fun. I think also a guy who's in the last year of his deal. Let me just double check that. He's got 2 years left. If somebody wants to claim Matt Benning, it's like, again, you're trying to open up the log jam so that way you can get guys like Thompson and Thrun and Mukhamadullin and hopefully Cagnoni real pathways to realistic playing time here, because those guys are potentially your future. And the way Cagnoni looks on the AHL right now, I go back. I said Cagnoni's going to earn NHL time. You can check the tape. Cagnoni's well on his way to earning NHL time the way he's playing with the Barracuda right now, with 2 goals tonight, and just looks, he just every time he's out there just brings a spark to the Barracuda. So that's gonna be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow to recap the game as the Sharks are hopefully can get off the schneid here. They play the Kings tomorrow, and then they play the Knights on Saturday, and then a Utah game on Monday. So plenty of, as they continue this forever road trip. So plenty of stuff coming along. Make sure you guys are following wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. Until tomorrow, bye, friends.